Hello viewers and welcome to Daily Politics. I'm Hamza Idris. President Bola Tinubu has submitted a request to the Senate seeking their approval to appoint 20 special advisors who will aid in the administration of his presidency. This request presented in a letter read by Senate President Ahmad Lawal during Tuesday's plenary session marks President Tinubu's first correspondence with the Senate since assuming office on May 29. While the letter did not disclose the names or specific roles of the proposed special advisors, the Senate leader Ibrahim Gobir moved a motion for the Senate to consider the approval for the president, which was seconded by Senate Minority Leader Philip Aduda. As a result, the Senate granted its approval for the appointment of the 20 special advisors. And in Mararaba Jama'a, close to Jos in Plateau State, a clash between youths and military officers at a checkpoint has left 2 individuals dead and 1 critically injured. The incident sparked panic in the area, causing people to scatter in fear. The clash erupted when a group of mourners transporting a deceased individual to a burial ground reached the checkpoint. Despite the military's instruction to dismount from their motorcycles and push them through, the youths reportedly refused and attempted to negotiate with the officers. With no resolution in sight, gunfire ensued, resulting in 3 youths being shot. Tragically, 2 of them lost their lives, while the injured person was rushed to the hospital for urgent medical attention. And infuriated by the shootings, the enraged youth set ablaze a military vehicle. Women in the area are now organizing for protests in both the immediate vicinity and on the affected highway. Plateau State has been in the eye of the storm following a string of attacks which plagued the state in May. An attack in Fongzai and Kobwat villages in Mongu local government area of Plateau State left 85 persons dead, according to official sources. And tonight on the program, I'm joined by Honorable Sani Moody, who served as special advisor on Islamic matters to former Governor Simon Lalong. He's also the spokesperson of Jama'atu Nasrul Islam Plateau State chapter. He also served as assistant director at the Directorate for Grassroots Mobilization and Orientation at APC Presidential Campaign Council during the presidential election. Welcome to the program, Honorable.
Thank you very much.
We're happy having you in our studio.
Thank you.
And our condolences over a string of incidences in Plateau State.
Thank you very much.
We also will go on a quick break now, and when we return, the conversation commences. Stay with us. Welcome back once again, Honorable Sani Moody. Welcome to our studios. Yeah, of course, it is world and this happened simultaneously.
Yeah.
So without prejudice to happenings in Plateau State, maybe we have to start with happenings at the national level. You've seen in our tidbit, President Tinubu has received approval to appoint special advisors, 20 of them. Yes. Was there any departure from what happened now and what happened during former President Muhammadu Buhari?
Well, thank you very much. Let me begin by commending His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for the swift action he has taken in forming his government. First, he appointed the Chief of Staff and the SGF without delay within the first week of his appointment, which is a departure from what we've been used to in the past administration. Second is the idea of these 20 advisors. Of course, normally you don't. He's not expected to send the letter with the names and portfolio. All that is required constitutionally is that he seeks Senate's approval for the number that he wants to appoint. And then, of course, by the number 20, it gives an idea of what to expect in terms of broad-based nature of the government, inclusivity and representation from various backgrounds. I'm sure when the appointments are eventually made, you will see people from diverse backgrounds, richly experienced in different aspects of life, and then coming from different backgrounds, inclusive, gender, youth, persons living with disabilities. I'm sure these are what you will see in that composition, and it gives a great hope for Nigeria that the government will swing into action very soon to address the myriad of problems confronting Nigeria.
I follow the social media a lot, even though I'm not social media savvy.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of making comments and all that. But what I saw earlier in the day was people saying that they are not hoping for a repeat, because in 2015, they recollected with nostalgia that, of course, President Buhari sought for approval to appoint, was it 15 or thereabout?
15.
He got the approval, but at the end of the day, they were not really appointed until much, much later. So we were even asking whether those 15 special advisors were ever appointed.
Well, you can't expect President Bola Tinubu and former President Buhari to be exactly the same.
Why?
They are different personalities.
How?
The fact that they come from the same background as members of the APC doesn't necessarily make them the same in terms of their personality.
Oh.
And of course, their approach to politics and governance.
Yes.
So you don't expect them to be the same.
All right. So you are now hoping, maybe we are optimistic.
Very highly optimistic.
That most likely maybe tomorrow or before the end of the week,
well,
we hear the names.
Let's wait between now and next week.
All right.
Yes.
Now, apart from, you mentioned this broad-based thing, which is really good.
Yeah.
As a member of the Presidential Campaign Council, of course, your works have been winded down and all that, but yours was in the Directorate for Grassroots Mobilization and Orientation. What were some of the expectations of people while going around the country?
Well, the expectations of people was that they will have a government that will come and frontally address Nigeria's challenges, economic, social, and security challenges. That is not to say that the previous government of President Muhammad Buhari did not make any efforts to address. It did, and it had done very wonderfully well.
But did it really trickle down to the poor? Because this is the contention. They say we now have over 130 million.
Well, you see, the challenges kept coming. The challenges kept coming as the government was moving. The challenges kept coming from this to the other. As you solve this, another one will crop up tomorrow.
So as far as you're concerned, Buhari has done his best.
He has done his best. But I believe that this government of President Tinubu has also had the opportunity of having time to study President Buhari's administration, and then, of course, areas where there is need for improvement. I'm sure President Tinubu will improve on that.
How democratic do you think Tinubu will be? It sounds very strange, the question, because people are saying, assuming you started answering, because I've seen the way you look at me.
Yes.
Okay, let me elaborate. Yes, people are saying immediately he came.
Yeah.
In fact, during the inaugural speech, he just removed subsidy. While people expected that he should take maybe a month or two, talk with the organized labor, talk with people, various interest groups and all that before removing fuel subsidy.
That has been done a long time ago. First, let me take you back. The fact that he announced the removal of fuel subsidy during his inaugural address is a mark of his frankness and determination to address these issues. That is one. Secondly, the Petroleum Industry Bill, or now Petroleum Industry Act of 2021, has done away with fuel subsidy. It has commercialized the aspect of petroleum business in Nigeria to the extent that the NNPC, by going by that act, will no longer hold monopoly in the oil business in the country. So it goes like any other thing, like the GSM, when it started, we were paying.
This was during 2001?
Exactly. And then, of course, now we are paying maybe 6, 7, or 8 naira per minute of a call. And then you are charged per second. In those days, it's charged just, even if your call drops at 2 seconds, 15 naira is gone.
Honestly,
Consider 15 naira of those days and then 15 naira of
15 naira of 2001, 2002. Honestly, now, it's more than 2000 now.
And that is what we are. That's what we are expected to have in the petroleum industry, petroleum business in this country.
That will happen?
I'm very hopeful that will happen. I'm very hopeful that will happen. You see, the fact that all the encumbrances and other legal impediments have been done away with then it gives hope that, of course, this area will be addressed, and of course, issues that have been hindering the smooth operation of the sector, and then of course, Nigerians from benefiting from the wealth as far as the oil business is concerned. Of course, we'll be losing a lot. Yeah. 1/3 of the foreign exchange being earned is plowed back into importation of oil.
Yeah.
So by doing away with the subsidy, we are addressing the issue of first the opaque nature of the business. Of course, it's shrouded in so much mystery, controversy, and on stories that are not even really palatable. Now with this, you are having first transparency, you are having accountability, and then of course it will address the issue of not only the market stability, but also the stability in the economy generally. The issue of foreign exchange, the issue of depreciation of the naira, all these things will be addressed through that singular act of removing.
But what happens to the poor? I wanted to call the lady who is in charge of sharing bills, water bills, in the house I live. When I called her, she said she could not go to office. This is a salary earner in the FCT. I said, why? She said, transportation. Now, what happens in between now and the time that this fuel will come down? Don't you think the country will be grounded?
Everybody is suffering for it. Let me tell you that in the last 5 days,
yes,
when this thing came into being I think in the last 5 days, I have consumed fuel worth 35,000 naira in my car, almost an average of 5,000 naira per day, because of my activities running around and what have you. I'm not happy about it.
Yeah.
But then that means that everybody should be ready to make some sacrifices. This is just the beginning of it.
But
at the beginning, of course, we will encounter challenges, as we will experience hardships like this. But then as it moves on, the rough edges are smoothened, and then, of course, we'll get over it, and then the market will take control of it. You may see petrol coming down to as low as even 250, 300 naira per liter.
Yeah.
Definitely the market will come down like that. Recall that sometimes in the past, oil was selling in the global market as low as $10 per barrel.
Yeah.
$20, $30. And nobody is telling you that, saying that the global economy will not shake in such a way that, of course, this thing will normally come down.
But
some of the measures being taken are artificial to control the price of oil, the OPEC Plus, and all that group meeting and then doing things.
But you people who sold Tinubu to Nigerians are hopeful that he will deliver.
We are very, very hopeful that President Bola Tinubu will deliver.
We're having you on record.
Have me on record, and take me for my word, President Bola Tinubu will deliver.
And certainly after 100 days, most likely will bring you back to the studio.
You will have a lot of stories, good stories to tell Nigerians after 100 days.
All right. It's something that, broke not quite long, is that the Chairman House Committee on Aviation, Nolim Naji, declared the launch of Nigeria Air a fraud, after the major stakeholders in the deal between the federal government and Ethiopia Airlines denied knowledge of the launch. I know you may not maybe necessarily like to comment on this, but why was it that people who worked with Buhari, many of them at the end of the day, they actually struggle against time to do certain things? Is it that they were ill prepared? Is it that they didn't get the green light and all that? I don't know.
I agree with you, and just have one comment on that.
Yes.
I didn't like the hastiness with which that issue of Air Nigeria was pursued.
Yeah.
So I'm not happy, I'm not comfortable with it as a person.
So now the declaration by this House Committee Chairman on Aviation,
possibly he has more knowledge of it than I do.
Yeah.
So let me.
But as a person, at a personal level, you are not happy.
I'm not happy.
Do many Nigerians are not really happy?
Of course, I'm not happy with the hastiness, as I said.
Oh my God! I hope they get it right. Now, back to our business of the day, Plateau State. You've been there for a very long time. I know you for a very long time. You served as even deputy chairman of local government, councillor of war.
Exactly.
And then you've been in a lot of inter-ethnic and inter-religious
dialogue and
activities.
Exactly.
Just yesterday at Mararaba Jama, you have seen the bit there. Clash between mourners and security operatives. Is it that there is collapse of trust, or what is really happening in Plateau State?
Well, let me say that I was out of Jos when this thing happened, but as usual, as I normally do, I have always been in touch with home whenever
you are away.
And then I saw it on the social media too. I got in touch with we have a conflict management group, the kind of hub like that. And I got in touch with them and they told me what really happened. It's almost the same as you've captured it. And I think some of these things really happen sometimes because of the human factor. And normally we know that whenever you approach a checkpoint, persons riding on motorcycles are expected to climb down and then of course push it through.
Yes.
But maybe because of the mood, since they said they are moving with corpses and some of them felt it's not proper for them to alight to climb down from the motorcycle and then push it through. Of course, it maybe then of course provoked the soldiers, and then probably there were heated exchanges of words.
Yes.
It's not possible for somebody to start shooting like that. But I said the human factor played, and the devil himself, of course, played a role in that. And it is sad and very unfortunate that it happened and it led to loss of 2 precious lives, human lives. I am happy that the government and the security agencies reacted promptly and of course took control of the situation.
Yeah.
And that has always been the case. Because of the volatile nature of the environment, the security and all those responsible have always been on the alert. And whenever things like this have happened, you see that the reaction is always swift.
Yeah.
The response is always swift, and it has been well. So that's what I can say on this. And of course, everywhere is calm now. The government has taken care of the burial as well as I think from what I read, medical bills of
the injured.
Of the injured, yes. So that is the situation.
Yes.
But I want to say that both sides, both the community and the security agencies should please control their emotions in situations like this.
Yes.
So that they are living together and they will continue living together. So this should not be allowed to take care.
I was pleased when I monitored the situation, or rather we monitored the situation, because here at Daily Trust, we are really interested in peace anywhere in Nigeria, and we don't really take it lightly. Wherever there is some, red signal, we put our attention there. We are glad that the blockade that normally accompany things like this did not happen yesterday. But it's like that tendency is gradually rearing its head back in Plateau State. For a very long time, this blockade of roads by aggrieved communities, was a thing of the past for a year or two or thereabout. But it's like it is rearing its ugly head. Why now, Honorable? Well,
let me say that, of course, we have to, in answering that question, we have to look back at the situation in Plateau. 2015 or pre-2015.
Yes.
That is, pre-assumption of Lalong as governor.
Yes. Whom you served as special advisor on Islamic matters.
I served in the entire 2 tenure of Lalong. In the first, I was an SSA.
The senior special assistant.
Yes, exactly.
On Islamic matters.
Exactly. And then in the second tenure, I was a special advisor.
Most likely because of your performance.
Oh, well, thank you. Let me say that credit must be given to whom is due, and that credit must go to Governor Lalong for his commitment. When he assumed office, the communities, of course, he met us in dialogue, actually. We had gone through almost 18 months of dialogue, which was facilitated by the Center for Humanitarian Dialogue, HD. The dialogue of communities on the Jos crisis. Comprising the major ethnic groups there, the Afizere, Hausa, Birom, Anaguta. And then, of course, we had the Yoruba.
Was this during Lalong?
During it started during Jang.
During
his second term. We started sometime in 2013. Down to 2014. Of course, we had a very thorough dialogue, and the process was very thorough. And the HD that facilitated was headed by experts in conflict management dialogue. People like Alice Wanderitu, who is presently the special advisor to the UN Secretary General on prevention of genocide.
Was part of that?
Of course. She came from Kenya. The team was led by one Dr. David Lambo of blessed memory. He died some years back. He's living in Kenya, but a Nigerian.
Yes.
David Lambo. And then, of course, we had people like Dr. Sankey. He too passed away just about a week or two ago. Dr. Yakubu Sankey, one time Secretary Director of the Institute of Policy and Statistics, NIPS Kuru. They led the dialogue team from the HD, and there were very expert hands that guided us, the communities, in the dialogue process. We were able to identify issues from each other's perspectives, the different perspectives, and we were able to address issues of perception at the beginning of the conflict, which made it a dialogue, which made it very smooth for us. We went through an 18-month, rigorous session of almost 5 days every week. The office of the NSA was represented all through the dialogue process. But what was lacking was just the political commitment of the administration at then, the state government, in terms of helping to see that, of course, the process went on smoothly.
Yeah.
Of course, agreements reached are honored. That was lacking.
Why?
Well, because maybe the government then had interest in the conflict, or it was too partisan to be objective in the whole thing.
Despite having,
of course,
people
but the communities were determined to go, and we had confidence in the mediators, because in dialogue, the neutrality of mediator is very essential. So we had confidence in the neutrality of the mediators, and we were able to go through it. But when Lalong came,
2015,
he was very eager. He himself said, "I learned there has been a process that there is a process that has been completed. Where is it? I want to see it."
Okay, he wanted to build on that.
Of course, that was, he said, he looked at it, he said, if this is the agreement reached by all the communities, I am ready to go by it and implement it.
Was the composition all encompassing?
All encompassing. All the communities were there. We had sessions where we had people really doing the dialogue. And then, of course, we had some special sessions for the religious group, for the women, for the traditional rulers, and all other interest groups, the youth and so on, apart from the men, which was made up of 5 representatives per community.
Wow.
And then we had thematic, areas that were identified, some peculiar to some communities, some general. Yes, we address all those issues thoroughly. Every week we will pick 1, 2, 3, and then address, and then continuously up till 2014. So Lalong said, if this is what the communities themselves agreed on, I am ready to implement it. I am ready to go by it.
And did he?
Of course, exactly, he did that.
Was that why we had
he did that,
semblance
and then, of course, to further strengthen that, he came up with the idea of a Plateau Peace Building Agency.
Okay.
He was so happy with what he saw, and of course, he felt that should be institutionalized. That is why he set up that structure, the PPBA, which will also continue the peace process in Plateau. Now, besides the issue around Jos, there were issues in other parts of Plateau, especially the southern zone. Now Governor Lalong mandated the HG to go down to the southern zone of the state and also facilitate...
Where is the southern part for the benefit of our viewers?
That is Lantang, Wase, Shendam axis, these areas. That's the southern senatorial zone. And there had been problems there.
In fact,
Yelwan, Shendam, Lantang, Wase, and what have you, of course. So Governor Lalong mandated the HG to go down to the southern part of Plateau and also facilitate a similar dialogue of communities there. They did it very well, and agreement was reached around the communities. In fact, HG did very well in Plateau to the extent that it also went to southern Kaduna at the instance of Governor Erufai and did the same process in southern Kaduna. Some of us that had experience in the Plateau conflict went there as to give technical support to the dialogue. So it's something, a very beautiful idea that which I hope succeeding administrations, not only in the state, Plateau and Kaduna, but generally in the country, will adopt and, of course, replicate wherever it is possible. It's an idea that I think even at the national level is worth replicating.
All right.
Really.
Thank you very much, Honorable Sani. Would you crave your indulgence to hold your breath for a moment as we go on break? Viewers, don't go away. We'll be back shortly. Welcome back. If you are just joining, this is Daily Politics on Trust TV. Do well to follow the conversation across our social platforms on Facebook, Instagram, and watch us live on YouTube. Still have Honorable Sani Moody, who served as special advisor to former Governor Simon Lalong of Plateau State on Islamic matters. And we are discussing the resurgence of insecurity on the Plateau. Very sad. Now, some people are saying there is this issue of excluding certain category of people in Plateau State. We don't have much time to go back to 2001 when all these things manifested, right?
Yes.
Is it true that inclusivity will solve the problem in Plateau?
Yes, exclusion was one of the main items in the dialogue because it gave rise to so many things. Issues of perception were built around that issue of exclusion. Because when you are excluded from things that you feel you should rightly belong.
And who are the people that have been excluded for?
Of course, mostly if you talk of the northern part of the state, the northern around you talk
north?
of the Hausa, Fulani, and the rest around that area. And then, of course, a lot of interpretation is given to that idea of exclusion. But I believe it's also, from what we've seen during the administration of Governor Lalong, it has substantially been addressed.
Okay.
Of course, you cannot wipe out all this in one day or in one, term or tenure of a government. But I think the foundation has been laid that whoever is desirous of maintaining a stable administration, a peaceful plateau, I think he has a good foundation to lay on.
Do you think Moftwang, right, who is the new governor now, he stands to gain more by building on what Lalong established, or there are certain areas that he has to actually part ways?
He may have his own idea of doing things, but I believe the foundation laid by Lalong is so profound and significant that every right-thinking leader will not abandon it. So he just has to look at it. I'm happy that there are people around him that have been part of the Lalong administration.
Oh, he has.
Of course, we've seen them. Not with politics being what it is. There are people that somehow you just see them.
Okay, where do you place this allegation that, of course, he's from Mangu? Is it Plateau Central?
Central, really.
Good. For many years, 2001, when this thing started, up to Daria time, right?
Yes.
Jang.
Yes.
We don't have issues around Mangu, Mangu Hale,
actually.
all these, the contiguous communities.
Exactly.
But this is the red spot now.
Exactly.
Why? What is the problem? As an insider, I mean.
It is very unfortunate. Just as was carried in your paper, at least I saw it last week, two fighting.
Yes.
Led to all this conflagration. Between individuals. Led to all this conflagration. And I must say that the youths are largely responsible for the widespread outbreak of violence.
Why?
Well, I don't know really, but I think there are issues around that the youths really need to be addressed. Issues that has to do with youths. From the reports we've gotten, it is the youths that did all the mayhem on both sides, and I wonder why.
Over 80 people.
Exactly.
I don't know.
Exactly.
I don't know the last time we had such a big.
I think the
scandalous
elders, the traditional rulers, the religious leaders, and other community leaders should rise up and face the challenge of youth restiveness in that area. And it is unbelievable because if you look at it, Mangu, that area, as you've pointed, as you've mentioned it, is one of the most prosperous areas in Plateau.
Yes.
Rich in terms of agriculture and other so many things, agriculture, livestock, and what have you.
And you go to a house, you see father Muslim,
of course, obviously.
Children, some
and
Muslims,
even if you look at it, if you look at their politics is so inclusive that within the communities, you see today it is a Christian representing this community.
Wow.
And tomorrow you will see a Muslim representing that particular community. In Mongo, they are just like that.
It stretches to
people
Gindiri,
like
right?
late Senator Mantu came from that area.
Yeah.
So you see that it has been quite a harmonious area in terms of its politics, in terms of religious, diversity. It has been very well managed and so on. But honestly speaking, the fact that this has happened, and I don't want to start mentioning names, but it's very unfortunate, so that we control this situation. But I believe there are people of integrity, there are people that have the competences in terms of leadership that can address this issue.
Okay, within the community, you have them in Plateau.
Within the community, we have them in Plateau, and Mongo as a community in particular also has a rich reservoir of people that can do this.
And the governor is from there.
The governor is from there.
Where will you situate this? Because while reading, I discovered that some people are saying it's actually time for vengeance, time to right the wrong committed by Lalong. I don't know. That wrong committed by Lalong was the peace building, right?
No.
Now that this governor must have to right those wrongs. Have you heard of something like this?
No wrongs was committed by Lalong in terms of his peace building work. The DG of the peace building agency is from Mongo.
Okay.
He's from there, a very vibrant young man, highly intelligent, articulate, and hardworking. So whatever Lalong has done in the area of peace building, that guy was the engine room of it. Oh. So I believe if anybody is talking of any wrong done by Lalong from that axis, is completely wrong. The man is not aware of, is ignorant of what actually, happened there.
Of course,
there was nothing like wrong committed against.
You are APC, of course, Honorable.
Of course I am.
The governor is PDP.
PDP, yes.
Now, there is this fear, especially among the so-called minority, people that have been tagged as minority in Plateau State. How can their issues be addressed? Maybe, is it from the center, Abuja, or you think even at the state level, the governor has a role? Maybe there must be collective effort by both the federal and the state government. I
think that issue of minority in politics in Nigeria is
It's a misnomer.
A misnomer, really, actually, because those that they are talking of as minority,
the people are
the majority them. Already there. When you look at it,
yes,
the people of Mongo are among the majority ethnic groups in Plateau.
They are the
Magavul, they are among the majority ethnic groups in Plateau. So
what about the Hausas? What about the Fulanis that are not even being considered?
Well, that one is another.
Okay, but I want you to touch it small.
Well, what I know is that the houses are very, very large in number in Plateau. They are scattered in all the 17 local government areas.
All the 17?
Of course, there is no way you go that you will not find a house. And it depends on how they tag him there, whether they take him as an indigenous or not. But he's there. He's there, and that is a reality. And I think with the current situation, people have come to live with that reality that, of course, we must live together. We must live together. The houses are not threats to anybody, and nobody is a threat to the Hausa. Now, if there are threats, of course, I think with the coming together, at least we are beginning to know that those threats are issues of perception, really, but they are not real. Now, on the issue of minority and what have you, you see, Nigeria is governed, is a federation made up of states, and these are the political and administrative units. In each state, there are people that except in the homogeneous states like Kano, Zamfara, Sokoto, and what have you, but
or Benue,
Benue with the thief domination. I don't want to call it other names, but let's say with the absolute domination of thief in Benue. But in all other states within the North Central, either it is Plateau or Kogi or Nasarawa, definitely you find that within some particular areas, some communities are in the majority, some are in the minority. And that is how far it can go. Beyond that, everybody is being administered according to the Constitution of Nigeria, according to the laws of the country, where everybody is treated fairly, equitably. If there are issues that are peculiar to those localities. So that issue of minority dominating anybody, I think, cannot hold anymore in this country, in this present scheme of things.
And leaders should first
Of course, the reality of governance. What you have is just that in everywhere, even within, for instance, now if you talk of Kano as a homogeneous state, but there is this issue of these traditional institutions that have been created.
Yes.
Some are saying, no, we are one, we must have one. And some are saying, no, we have gotten our own independence from the domination. Allow it to be.
Yeah.
So that also now brings the issue of domination.
Wow.
Even though it's a homogeneous community, religiously, ethnically.
So it's not exclusive to places like Plateau.
Exactly.
It depends on how they are managed.
How they are managed. So if you can manage diversity well, wherever you are, you can have successful...
And how far did Lalong, whom you served, manage this diversity? Because, and what should Muftuang learn? Especially in terms of provision of infrastructure, human empowerment, because people in Jos North, part of Jos South, and maybe Wase and all that, they complain that in terms of reaching them with infrastructure, it was not really awesome, and there are rooms for improvement.
Well, as you said, there are rooms for improvement, but let me say that when Lalong came in Plateau, he met a battered economy.
Okay.
Almost everything was down, completely, entirely. The revenue base was too low. Now we are having a problem of trying to revive the economy and at the same time trying to stabilize the state in terms of peace building. So the priority should normally or naturally go to peace building. And where in peace building you are expected to make a lot of input in terms of resources and whatever it is. Even facilitating dialogue, meetings of communities, moving from one to another. The security aspect of it, what we pay in terms of support, logistics support to the security agencies and all of it is, as you know, a huge, investment there. So what do you have for infrastructure? And within the same period, we've had challenges downtown in the economy, nationally, globally, COVID and what have you. All these were really serious impediments to development in the state. But he did his best in terms of infrastructure, where, especially in the tertiary, in the education sector. Okay. I know of a fact, that in most of the tertiary institutions of the state, courses were some courses were denied accreditation or accreditation withdrawn. Lack of equipment and teachers. And I know at a point we sat down at the sub-council where I belong in the government, and of course we're having humongous amounts of money running into billions of naira that is needed to facilitate accreditation of some of these institutions. The College of Agriculture at a point had only one course accredited out of almost 18 courses. Wow. So it cost a lot of money to put all these things together. How can you send children to school and then at the end of it you say their certificate is worthless? Result, exactly. So these are some of the issues that the government faced, unknown to people outside. That's it. Now, on the issue of what Muftuang, the present governor, should do, I think with all sense of modesty and responsibility, he should be humble enough to at least follow in the footsteps of Governor Lalong, where he finds it expedient to do so. Absolutely necessary, he should do it. Lalong too said it. There are policies in terms of projects and other things like that, that of course he did. He built on what his predecessors did. Governance is finished some roads. You don't have to say for everything I do, I will. I have to start afresh. You don't do that. The peace building effort that Lalong did needs to be built upon by the present governor. I wish him well. He is our governor. Yes. Notwithstanding the fact that we are from different political parties, but I think for now, he's the leader of the state. The fact that there is a court case, of course, we hope and pray that it will work, but we will wish him well. We will wish him well, we will wish our state well. So I think the right thing for him to do now is to look at those critical areas that need to be supported, built on, and then, of course, he has to continue with it. The issue of marginalization, the issue of exclusion, these are all issues that he should not play with. Job creation is very important, really. But the fact is that sometimes in this area of job creation, we are our own worst enemies. Look at what the governor tried to do in terms of rebuilding the main market. Yes. Look at the...
But some say it was really political.
There was nothing political.
That he took a very long time.
There was nothing political. Not a very long time. The very long time that he took was that so many efforts were being made, a lot of consultations. Most of the financial institutions that were approached refused. They declined to accept it. And at a point, the contract was actually given to somebody who said he is a son of the soil, and then he is willing to do it. He is ready to raise finance and what have you. At the end of it, after spending almost 1 year with the paper, with the agreement and so on, later of award, he now came to say government should guarantee him a loan from this bank. If the government will guarantee him a loan, why wouldn't the government do it itself?
Yes.
So that's why at the last point when the government discovered that Jais Bank was doing it in other places, government approached Jais Bank.
So you believe it wasn't deception?
It wasn't deception at all. It wasn't deception. Look, when the site clearance began, it was almost 2 years before the Jais Bank, because the government did the site clearance for which a lot of money was expended in anticipation of
and a lot of money was
the commencement of the project. It was expected that the contractor that was awarded, who promised to source for money and execute the contract with all due respect and concern as a patriotic son of the soil, the government facilitated and did the site clearance for him, thinking that he will start. For over a year, almost getting to 2 years, he didn't do anything. So there's no deception.
So you are now
so it's part of the economic
Governor
issue.
Mutfwang to revisit the issue of the market.
Of course, I saw it in his inaugural address. He said the market will be revisited, but with some modifications.
Okay.
I hope the modifications are such that they will accommodate the interest of all.
All right.
That is it. It's very important that the modifications will be such that, of course, essentially it is a market and it is meant for business.
On many occasions, you see certain category of people from Plateau, instead of taking their cry to the government at the state level, they now, escalate it to the federal government. What should people, because I see you as maybe someone representing people of Jos and all that, at the center,
yes,
going by the role you played.
Yes.
What are your expectations for people from there and the North Central at large from the Tinubu presidency?
Generally, for people to leave their state and move upward to the center and start complaining about things happening is a measure of lack of trust that they have. And it is very unfortunate. That lack of trust is built around, issues that are not really,
maybe
trivial issues, very trivial issues for that matter. So I think we, just as I said, Mutfwang is our governor and wish him well.
Okay.
That is a measure of some trust.
Okay.
As a leader, he has sworn on oath to do the right thing. Let's see what he will
expect
do
a lot
within
from
the
him.
period that he will be there.
Okay.
Now, it is the same thing with others. Whoever is there, give him your trust and expect good and pray well for him. Wish him well and then pray for him to succeed.
All right.
But when you lack that and then you start moving to Abuja, and then Abuja does not have the constitutional mandate to interfere in the way a state is being governed.
Yeah.
Except in the area of security, where if it is so overwhelming that
it has to intervene, like what happened during Obasanjo.
Exactly. Other than that, you don't go to Abuja for anything. You have no business whatsoever with Abuja. Some of the problems are even local issues. During the dialogue we had with the HG facilitated dialogue, we did an identification. We went through an identification process of the various problems. Some issues are issues that even a common ward head,
oh my God, can resolve. Not to talk about.
But then you see them being piled and then brought up and then for the attention of the governor or the local government chairman, which is wrong.
Yeah.
And some people could even write letters to Abuja on that. And it is absolutely wrong. So people should take time to study, understand what are the issues involved before even rushing to anywhere. It is a problem for the local government chairman, face him, address it to him. It is a problem for the governor, face him, address it to him. Have confidence in him. He has to do it.
Okay,
that is it. And then our expectations in the Tinubu administration is that the Tinubu administration is mindful of the fact that first, it got more than the statutory requirement of votes from Plateau State.
Okay.
And he knows very well that Plateau people are his supporters and well-wishers.
All right.
And we are solidly behind the administration.
Okay.
He is a man of good heart, courage, a large heart.
Yeah.
So I believe Plateau is part of his immediate political family, and we expect every good that anybody will expect from the government.
All right, thank you very much. I wish we have more time. Honorable
Thank you very
Sani Mudi, immediate first special advisor on Islamic matters to former Governor Simon Lalong of Plateau State and the spokesperson of Jama'atu Nasrul Islam in Plateau State, among many other
things. Really,
thank you very much for coming to the program.
Thank you very much.
And we hope to have you again.
Thank you very much.
Soon.
Thank you very
and
much.
viewers, that's a wrap on today's package. Thank you for watching. Join us tomorrow for another interesting edition. Bye-bye for now. I'm Hamza Idris.